Well, it's just gone 11 and we've made just past Fitful Head, which is the bottom end of mainland Shetland, known for a race that can develop there. We timed it right and we've come through without incident and without anything other than a helpful tide, and it was wind with tide as well, so that was good. And we're now heading up the west coast of Shetland mainland to head towards Scalloway to go in by the Southern Channel. We've had a lovely sail up here today. It's been an absolute blast. I've had to depower a couple of times. In fact, I'm now on second reef main, second reef jib, and we're still doing hull speed. But the swell's gone because we're now in the lee of Fitful Head, and so we've just got the fetch between us and mainland. So we've still got a bit of wave, but nothing much, and that's made us keep our speed even with that second reef in. Main reason to talk today was that one of the things we all kind of ignore, which I think we have to address sometimes, is fatigue and cold. And when we came up from Lowestoft to Whitby, we discovered two things which have changed our plans for this trip. The first of those was that Jill is not comfortable holding a watch without me in the cockpit in anything other than perfect conditions. And on that I think she's right, because her assessment of her ability to handle things that come up might be correct. I think I'd agree with her. And the other thing we discovered, which is equally important, is that I am no longer able to stand 30 hours of not really sleeping and being cold. That's the main thing, having to be out in the cold all the time. And we've decided between us that our intended departure from here to Norway is not a good idea. So our plans have changed in that we are going to spend a bit more time around Shetland. We're still visiting Lunavo, which is where the first or the early departures for the Shetland bus took place, and that's where the whole unit was based for the early parts of the war. And we're going to go and visit Lunavo. I'm going to do some walking around the area and get a feel for what it was like for the crew that were there. And then we're carrying on around Muckleflugger and Outstack to round the top end of the United Kingdom, and then we're coming back down the west coast to complete the circuit of the United Kingdom and head off to the Orkneys again to go down the west side of the Orkneys. We're going to go and visit the Churchill Barrier because there's some nice anchorages there apart from anything else, but also they're of historic interest. We're going to Scapa Flow, a few other places on the way, and then we're going to head off across the top of Scotland and down through the Hebrides and make our way towards Belfast. In some ways it feels like this is a failure because we're not getting to Norway. In other ways it kind of proves what I said when I left to so many people, is that sailing plans are written in the sand at low tide, and it would be damn stupid of me to ignore the lesson I learned and how I felt at the end of that 162 nautical miles, which is 190 miles in earth terms, 190 normal statute mile leg up to Whitby, when I arrived absolutely on my knees because of cold and fatigue. And that's 162 nautical miles, and the trip to Norway from here, from Lunavo, was about 190. So it's also all across the North Sea. There's nowhere to go and nowhere to hide, if you like. So I don't see it as a failure really, although it's disappointment. I see it as proof that decision making has to be kept dispassionate and honest, and you have to be honest about yourself. And the reason we're not going is not down to Jill saying she doesn't want to hold a watch. It's down to me saying I can't cope with tiredness and cold. So that's the deal. Be interesting to know what your thoughts are, how you make these decisions, and whether you think I'm being a wimp or I'm being honest with myself. As I say, it's just the way it's got to be.